do you like write the storyline, as it were, or picture yourself as like the character and then like what's happening, who's saying what, like you, I don't know, in terms of script writing, maybe a stupid question, but do you sort of like scripted, like plan the script first, or do you sort of like, I'm going to just go on this journey and then like be the person, and then like again I extrapolate with more explanation as to what's going on?
It depends on what the script is, but I fluctuate between putting yourself in the learner's shoes, but also placing yourself in that mentor voice. So yes, you'll see the learner on the screen, so that's the visual part, but you're going to be talking to or about the learner of something that they need to learn or be able to do by the end of it. So I think it's a little bit of a half and half. And in terms of the visuals when they come, again, case by case basis. Sometimes the visual idea will come first. Like for that video that we're talking about now, we started talking about the visuals and it just came together with the script. Sometimes I script first or concurrently. It depends on how dry the content is. If it's like infographic based or things like that, if it's not an actual like story arc, then usually I'll script at the same time.
Yeah,
So
I think it's,
yeah.
what's that, Stuart?
No, there's been a few, like you try to talk, Lou's trying to say something. I didn't want to get interrupted, so you go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, that wasn't the ignore that YouTube link. I think you're saying if on YouTube, if you search for script to screen, then like I found one on Pixar, like, so there's a bunch of different channels that do script to screen stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I just as a quick sort of key takeaways for me, what you just said is that importance of bouncing ideas off someone else. It's so key to go and like ping someone on the team and say, hey, do you have 15 minutes? I need to run an idea by you. Does this sound dumb? Is this confusing? Like, what can I do to improve it? The value of that 15 minutes is huge because it unlocks any stuck energy or anything you know that's stopping you from just flowing, and then you can get into that rhythm of putting it down. So definitely jump on that opportunity and don't wait for the next time you have a team meeting. Just reach out to someone. I love that you mentioned how like listen to what your client really says. Like it just like it hits you that it didn't have to be a circle and like that whole like realization. So that's also just the benefit of just doing this over and over on many discovery calls. Keep asking questions, like it will sink in. And then the idea that eventually hit you, like we talked about this as well with Khaled, where so there's a whole thing called the reticular activating system, which I think we talked about as well, but it's basically that part of your brain at the back here that is working on unconscious ideas all the time. And it's trained in biology, like it's in our biology because and it's basically like the phenomenon that you once you see a red Tesla or whatever type of car, you'll always start to see that. And it's that idea of is what's happening here. It's like it's working. And so like it is helpful sometimes straight to like think about your project in a new setting and in a new way. Like if you're at a wine farm waiting for a guest, maybe you'll be inspired by some barrels of wine or something and like come up with a really cool analogy for stuff. Or like digital marketing of a wine farm, like that's an interesting idea. And you can then you start to just pull at the thread, and like that's kind of what you were getting at. You pull at this concept of that you came up with of traffic and road signs and stuff, and as you start to pull at it, you're like, oh, like this can make sense in this, and then it just sort of starts to flow. So yeah, I think those were three really cool things that you did there, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. One very good piece of advice that took me a very long time to accept is frustration is sometimes good. When you are hitting your head against the wall because you don't know how something's going to work or you don't know what it's going to look like, it could be both. Sometimes that frustration is what leads to your breakthrough. So don't be too hard on yourself because it will come. at the end of the day, you have to finish the script and you have to get to a place that you are happy with it. But that doesn't mean that being frustrated or just being really hard on yourself during that time is a bad thing. In that script, the scenario where the split screen between the two people happened, I could not figure out how I was going to do that. It came to me at 3 o'clock in the morning while I was asleep, and I scripted it on my phone. And the next morning, I fleshed it out, and I was like, this is it. It works. And sometimes that's how it's going to work. So also put a notepad on your phone while you're waiting next to the wine barrels. You never know when genius is going to strike.
Mm.
As long as the wine barrel's open, it helps.
Yeah, that is really good advice. I don't know if you have an idea capture system, Strat. Can make some recommendations on that if you don't, but just to be able to like quickly jot something down. It may not make sense then in that moment, but might later on.
Yeah, I find voice notes, like cool. Voice notes to myself, even just like, it's not even on the app. It's like my I started doing this a while back because I was driving, and like then I thought it would come to me like in terms of touring or ideas for the next day, whatever it was. I would send myself a WhatsApp voice note, and so my number is like on the top of my list as like messages come through. So I can just listen to that voice note as opposed to another thing that app, and then I forget about it. As with many other tools or apps that I've downloaded or signed up for, I forget that I have them, and then forget where that information is. So,
idea. So much better than typing in the dark.
Yeah, and then you can just start it up, and then exactly, typing. I just exactly. You can just get the idea out a little quicker.
Yeah.